This is Rockin' with Jam Man. It's with Kevin from Candlebox. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Jam man. This is my first interview with a 10-year-old, and or you're 10 or 12 yet.
10. I started this
Ah,
business when I was 9.
that's so awesome. Well, it's my first interview with you and with a 10-year-old. My son's 13. I've asked him a million times to do my podcast with me, and he won't do it. So there you
Can I be your stepson, bro? Can we work something out?
go.
No?
We should do a podcast. I'll have you on.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So, so congratulations on your new album, Wolves. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
This is your first album in 5 years, but you had to sit on it for the past 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah, because of COVID. It was supposed to come out last August.
Are you glad you held it off because it would have to be and put you would have to put it out early. It would be hard sell com- competing against the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main issue is bands like Candlebox, or for that matter, kind of really any rock and roll band or anybody that's releasing a record right now in this day and age. Touring is the only way to move units. You know, I guess, if you look at the Billboard top 10, the number one selling album maybe sold 75,000 units back when, in the 90s, number one record would be selling $300,000 or 300,000 units a week. So it's a different world, nowadays. So really, the only way you're going to sell anything or get out there and tour and have people pick it up either at the shows, or you're playing some of the new songs live and they like what they hear and they want to go out and buy it. It's a double-edged sword, if you will, being a musician that has to tour that way. But the nice thing about being home and putting this record on hold was that I got to be a dad and a husband, which for the past 30 years of my life, I haven't been home longer than, 2 or 3 months at a time. So it's been a really nice, blessing in disguise for me. But yeah, we had to postpone it just because there would be no way for me to support the album.
What is the writing process like making music? Do you try and make another Far Behind, or do you involve in today's sound?
No, I've never tried to rewrite Far Behind or try to write a song like that. I mean, that was Far Behind was an incredibly happy accident for the four of us when we started out as a band. The bass player came into the studio to try out for the band, and he brought that bass line, which ended up becoming the song. That's something that I don't think you can ever really recreate. When magic happens, it happens, and music is a strange mistress, if you will. There are moments where you're incredibly in love with her, and moments where you can't stand her, and you don't want her to be a part of your life, because you hit writer's block, or your evolution of your style is not going with the plans of your fans, the people that love your music. So I think in my case with Candlebox, we changed our direction second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth album so that we could continue to evolve. But you know, by doing that, I'm certain we've lost fans over the years who just did not like the direction musically we were going, but I mean, that's part of life. You can't please everybody all the time.
I really like your new song, All Downhill from Here, man. It rocks, man. Really great song, really.
Thank you.
Now, is that a song about musicians or rock music in general? Because kids do not appreciate rock how they used to. It's more hip hop now. No.
No, it's an autobiographical song. The I when I turned 40 years old, I had a physical, and my doctor said to me, he goes, "Well, it's all downhill from here." So, and I turned to him and I was like, "What are you saying to me?" He said, "Well, around this age, 40, 45, the body starts to die, things start to happen, you start to move a little bit slower." And I was just like, "Man, that is the worst thing in the world you could say to anybody." Don't ever say that to me again. So that stuck with me, and I think for the career I've had. When I started this band, I was 21 years old. I'm 52 rather. in 2023, it'll be the 30th anniversary of the debut album. That's a really long career. And it's been a great time. So what I'm talking about in the song is that my life on the road, the things that I've experienced, you know, I reached the top. I sold millions of albums. I've got, you know, millions of fans around the world. It's time to enjoy the ride now, and it's time to get out there and do it the way I want to do it, and play the music I want to play, and just kind of go along for the ride. So that's kind of what it means, you know. You'll find as you get older, that the things that you worry about as a young man are irrelevant, and really the most important thing is to enjoy your life every single day, even in the darkest moments of it. You have to find something that keeps you alive, that keeps you, that allows you to feel that love that it is that you are looking for. And most of the time, I think it's music anyways. I think obviously for you must be a huge fan of music because you've got your own your own show. You're interviewing amazing musicians, you know, and that's something that I think if you can hang on to that, you'll realize as you get older, all those little things you stressed about when you're like in your 20s or whatever, are irrelevant. You know, the saying is, if I knew then what I know now, I certainly would have lived my life a lot differently than I did in my 20s by, you know, stressing about dumb stuff that was irrelevant really in the grand scheme of things. You know, the big picture in front of us is really how long are we on this planet, and what do we do to make it a better place, not only for ourselves, but for those around us, our children, friends, family, people we don't know. And that's really the big scheme, you know, is what is that outside of what I'm doing?
Now you guys are like a 90s band out of Seattle, so you guys got thrown into the grunge category. But do you consider yourself a grunge band?
No, never have. And none of the bands in Seattle ever considered themselves grunge bands either. It's an interesting label. I think that about every 10 years or so, you'll find that with a new movement of music, they have to label it. And that label just gives it, that gives the media or the marketplace, if you will, an opportunity to market that type of music. Of course, it was, you know, rock and roll in the 60s. In the 70s, it was glam rock, and then it was punk rock. In the 80s, it was new wave, and then it was metal, and then it was hair metal. And then in the 90s, the grunge label came along because the music was something that people hadn't heard that style. Not to say that it wasn't influenced by a lot of great metal bands, like Black Sabbath was a huge influence on what was happening in Seattle, early Black Sabbath, as well as early Iron Maiden, like the record Killers. A lot of that music was instrumental in the sound of what the Seattle bands created. So grunge was simply a label that the market had to create in order to be able to explain what it is that was happening. So Candlebox was just basically an arena rock band. We're a blues-based rock and roll band that is influenced by everything from Jaco Pastorius to Steve Gadd, to The Who, to The Clash, Iron Maiden. Pink Floyd is a huge influence and inspiration on all four members of Candlebox when we started the band. So we really were just kind of a hodgepodge of our inspirations and influences that happened to write a song that garnered a great interest, which was a song called Far Behind. And that was really what took our record to another level. But yeah, we've never considered ourselves a grunge band. And you know, is it a good term for music? Sure. It helped to put a label on things, but when the fashion and all that sort of stuff kind of came along with it, that was a bit weird.
I guess getting thrown into grunge is not that bad through. You and Pearl Jam are that's left. Everyone else either passed away or faded away.
Well, Alice in Chains is still around.
Singer died.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, Eddie and I are kind of the last two, I guess, mainstream Seattle bands. Yes, of course, Mark Arm, who started Mudhoney and Green River, and he's still around, and that band is actually, I mean, that's of all the Seattle bands, Green Malfunction or not Malfunction, I'm sorry, Mudhoney is the oldest, and still doing it. I mean, still signed to Sub Pop, still making records. And Mark's a great singer and a fantastic songwriter. And but yeah, I think for the mainstream, Eddie and I are the last two guys that are still kind of carrying a torch, if you will. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. You know, I kind of feel like I've said it for really about the past 4 years, is that I don't want to be a 60-year-old guy in skinny jeans out there, singing at the top of my lungs rock and roll music. So I might be packing it in a couple of years. So Eddie will be the last Seattle singer that's carrying the torch.
Speaking of grunge, did you see that Baby from a Nirvana record is suing them for child exploitation? How crazy is that, man? How crazy is that?
I'm not surprised. People sue for anything in the United States.
Yeah, this is not as bad as it used to. Well, just
well, I don't know. I mean, if
anybody
the guy's upset about the fact that his penis is on the front of a record, okay, but yeah, not it.
and the thing is that he reshooted the album cover in 2016. Now he wants to sue. That's insane, right?
Yeah. Is that a Bob Seger picture I see on your wall there?
Yes, actually, yes.
Oh no, is that Bob Seger on the bottom right?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Tom Petty. This is Axl Rose. That is Kiss. That is Marilyn Manson and Seven Dust and some people in the back there. I think that's David.
That's pretty awesome, man. Very cool.
But
who's your favorite band?
My favorite band is definitely Queen.
Queen.
Yeah, but
right on, dude.
Yeah, and I really like the old style, but I can do Black Sabbath, stuff like that. I really like I'm an adult now. I forgot the band's name, but I really like their song and stuff. Oh, but I am a fan of Neil Young. I definitely am.
Right on.
Yeah. Old man, look at my life. Who inspired you to become a musician?
My father. I should say both my parents. My dad was a jazz musician, but he also played classics, standards. He played all the woodwinds and all the brass. He was a musician in Chicago that if somebody needed a trumpet player, they'd give my dad a call, or a clarinet player, they'd give my dad a call, maybe a trombone, saxophone, whatever. And at a very young age, I watched him pick up a saxophone and go after it like Charlie Bird Parker. It was pretty insane. I think I might have been about 6 years old, and I watched this enormous beast of a man that I respected and looked up to, which was my father, play this instrument with such grace and passion. And I immediately was like, man, what is that? That's something I've never experienced before. So I think about a year later, I started playing French horn in second grade, and which is crazy. I mean, the instrument's as big as I was. And that kind of kicked things off for me. And then right around the age of 10 or 12, 10, I started getting into drums, and that was it. Drums became everything to me, and I played drums up until I was about 19 years old in bands, and then I started singing with Candlebox, and then I got stuck with this job. But yeah, my father was my biggest influence and biggest inspiration.
I'm actually going to be doing the drums, but I'm doing lead guitar right now, but then I'm going to be going to the drums.
Right on. That's great. Learn every instrument. Piano is the most important one.
Okay. How did the pandemic affect you personally?
I lost some friends. I had a couple of friends pass due to COVID. I also had another friend have a heart attack. So that was very strange for me. My best friend, as a matter of fact. So I had a very kind of I had a rough year. A lot of emotion. Like I mentioned earlier, though, I had the blessing was that I got to spend a lot of time with my family, and experience new things. I learned how to bake bread. I learned how to cook a bunch of different new dishes, Thai dishes, Mediterranean dishes. I really enjoyed cooking. I did a lot of cooking, but mainly I was just, it was really about like recognizing the things in my life that I had taken for granted, maybe, and addressing those and changing them and kind of trying to be a better person. That's really how it affected me mostly. I mean, it affected me financially because I wasn't able to tour, but those are things that come along with taking breaks, and so you figure out how to make it work. But mainly it was just experiencing life and changes and loss and love.
I know this new album was written a long time ago. Did you write anything new during the pandemic? Did you write anything? Have any time to write?
I did. I did. I wrote a couple new songs. I don't know. I don't know if I've got plans to release them or put them out at any point. I'm really kind of just focused on this record. But yeah, I was able to get some writing done, and yeah. I mean, I'm not the most prolific musician. I don't put records out every year, every 2 years. So like you'd mentioned before, it's been 5 years since I released an album. But I'm about an every 4 year type of person. But I actually did spend some time writing. I've got a couple acoustics laying around the house here that I just pick up and start working on. So, but we'll be writing on the road. We're going to be out for about 7 weeks coming up in September, supporting Wolves. So we'll be writing and recording on that bus, and maybe get a record out next year. I don't know.
I seen you did a bunch of awesome covers songs. You really hit those high notes in Loverboy song. Do you have any more covers coming out? I think you should do Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, Harvest Moon by Neil Young, or Don't Stop Believing. Hold on to that feeling by Journey.
Yeah,
I'd love to see you hit that. That would be.
I do Don't Stop Believing in karaoke. I love it. We have covered Children of the Grave by Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality record. So that's coming out later this year. I'm a huge Loverboy fan. That was, it was a request from a friend of ours to do that for her boss for his 50th birthday. And I was absolutely, sure, I'll do that. I love that song. We did also For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. I love Fleetwood Mac. We've talked about covering Sarah, which is off the Tusk record, which I love. I haven't thought of doing In Dreams. It's a really beautiful song as well. But yeah, I mean, I love doing cover songs. That's something that as an artist, you always want to do something that you think an audience is going to be responsive to. And cover songs are one of those things that people, they don't expect you to do it in the middle of your set. So when you do it, you catch them off guard, and hopefully you're playing the right song. But, we've done everything from Detroit Rock City to The Trooper, Last Dance for Mary Jane. We've done a ton of cover songs, AC/DC, Highway to Hell. I love it, man. I love doing those songs, but Don't Stop Believing, that's a magical tune that everybody's, I think, in the world is a fan of. And I don't know if my covering it would do it any justice, other than it's already been done. I mean, it's such a beautiful song, and there's so many different renditions and so many different cover versions of it. I think I'll just stick to the karaoke on that one.
No, I think I could do a perfect cover. Don't stop believing.
You got your dogs barking in the background there.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah, they're big. So you played some shows. How has it been going?
That's strange. It's a little weird out there right now, but we're hoping that it kind of lightens up a bit. Yeah, it's a dark mood. I'll tell you that much. It's strange.
Are you worried about the Delta strain? A lot of bands are getting COVID on the road. Are you worried about that?
We are. We're taking every precaution possible. We're not doing any meet and greets. We're not meeting any fans. We're not having any backstage passes. There are no guests allowed into the venue or backstage with us or on our tour bus. So we're doing everything we can to avoid it. Fingers crossed we have an opportunity to get through this thing unscathed. But I'm not really sure that's going to happen. I'm fairly certain that somebody's going to catch it along the way.
I seen you even cancel the show to protect your fans. That was pretty cool of you, man. Cool.
Well, that was something that we were asked about by the promoter because Arkansas was seeing an enormous spike. The promoter contacted us and said, "Would you guys mind postponing this? Because I'd hate to have, I'd hate to be a super spreader event." And two of the bands that had gone through previously prior to us playing there both got COVID from that venue. So, nobody wants to cancel shows, but sometimes you have to do it to protect to not only yourself, but your audience. And that's why we chose to do it.
You cool man, bro. You cool man. Did you get the shot?
I have. Yeah, I've been vaccinated, both shots.
Are you worried about another potential lockdown? Are you worried?
No, I don't think the country can afford a lockup or a lockdown, if you will. I think it's financially not viable. LA, where I live right now, has a mask mandate in place. So if we go to a football game, you have to wear a mask. If we go to a baseball game, you got to wear a mask, even though you're outdoors. So it's really, I guess, trying to protect people as much as possible. We just can't afford another lockdown. I'm certain we're going to see several more variants of this COVID virus, which is scary to me. So I don't really know. I'm getting my third booster shot in October. I'm not looking forward to that. I know a couple of my friends that have gotten really, really sick. But it's what I got to do for the greater good.
I'm going to be terrified when I get the vaccine.
Yeah, it's scary. My son's got it. He got both shots. He was fine. But under the age of 13 or under the age of 12, there are risks that come with that. So, if you can stay away from it as much as possible and try to avoid contact with other people, I would suggest that.
Dude, I rarely even go out to get some groceries. The only time we do it is we do it so everybody became kind of hoarders, because every single time now when you shot, you always just get all the stuff you need and get a lot of it, and then don't come back for maybe a month or two and then get it again.
Yeah.
If it happens again, do you have plans on what to do this time?
If the lockdown happens?
Yes, if another lockdown happens, yeah.
Do I have plans? No, I think I'll probably, unfortunately, I'd have to cancel the rest of the tour. Just because financially I wouldn't be able to afford to hold on to anything. So I don't know. I mean, I'll probably just kind of continue playing guitar and writing songs and fingers crossed that the world opens up again in the spring. I mean, it's too hard to tell what's going to happen. But if another lockdown does happen, I'm certain that I'll have to cancel the tour.
You have a family, right? You have a family?
I'm sorry?
You have a family, right?
Yeah, 13-year-old son and a wife of 20 years.
Well, for a band that does not like of touring like you, what was it able to spend all that time with them during the lockdown? What was that?
It was amazing.
Amazing?
It's the greatest experience ever. Yeah.
Amazing. Gotcha. I remember talking to Bumblefoot, who likes lives on the road. He said during the lockdown, he found out that he has a huge garden that grows at his studio and never ever seen it before until the lockdown, because he stopped touring and everything, So and he finally gets it whoa, I actually got a garden. Sick.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Did it change your ways of touring, like not doing long runs and taking breaks to go home?
Well, I have been for the past 10 years only going out for 2 weeks at a time. Um, this is different. This is the first time in about 10 years that I'm actually going out for longer than 6 weeks. So it's going to be a bit strange. Physically, it's going to be challenging because I'm, 52-year-old man that's touring like a 20-year-old. But, I think I think it's going to be interesting. I'm playing a lot of different places from New York to South Carolina to Georgia to Florida to Texas. So, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's this is the biggest change that I've experienced from this is actually having to go out and tour for 6 to 7 weeks, and that's mainly because it's just the only way financially viable for me to do it. If I were to break it up into 2 week turns, I would not make any money at all.
Out of all the time being off the road, what do you miss? What do you miss about being on the road? What do you miss about being on the road? What do you most?
Oh, the shows, the
show?
fans, the shows. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I love what I do, and we have the best fans in the world. I know every band says that, but it's the truth, man. I mean, these people show up every single time we play, and they're happy to see us, and they buy a T-shirt and they sing the songs, and it's instant gratification. I love it. That's what I miss most when I'm not on the road.
What is your touring schedule like for the rest of the year?
I've got the 7 week run from September and October. And then I've got the 2 shows in Seattle with the original band to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Lucy. And then I'm home for the rest of the year. I don't pick up until February of 2022. So I'll have some time to recuperate and relax. And hopefully the record's doing well. And it's time to get back out in the spring.
What is your favorite memory from playing the show?
My favorite memories. Wow, I've got several. I mean, touring with Rush, playing golf with Neil Peart was a perk. That was one of the greatest moments of my life. Yeah, I mean, music is. Touring with Metallica, touring with Henry Rollins, touring with the Flaming Lips, touring with Aerosmith. I mean, there's so many. I have great memories from pretty much every show I've ever done. I mean, there's. I don't know. It's just exciting what I do. I'm very lucky, man. I don't. I pinch myself every single day that this is my job, and I'm grateful that I have an audience of people that let me do it. So I can't pinpoint, a single memory that's the greatest. I have so many.
What is your worst memory from playing the show? What is your worst?
Opening for Metallica was tough, man. Yeah, their audience did not really care for Candlebox. That was a really, really hard tour to do. And we had stuff thrown at us at every show and people booing us. And, it was hard because it was, that was 6 weeks of that summer heat in the summer of 1994. And that was a tough one,
Was it just like, Candlebox sucks, my grandma can play better? Just like that always? I am so sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. I mean, people have their opinions. Everybody's got one, It's a saying. I don't know. I'm sure you've heard it.
And look at you now. Look at you now. And look at where they are, Never let that heat get you down.
Yeah.
If you could make your dream tour, who would be on the bill with you?
My dream tour?
Yes.
Wow. God, that's an interesting question. I'd love to tour with Led Zeppelin with Bonham. That's my favorite band, and Candlebox and Led Zeppelin would be something spectacular. Or I would love to tour with the Foo Fighters or Pearl Jam as well. I think that kind of the Seattle rock contingency tour, I think would be amazing. Like Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Candlebox, Alice in Chains, Mudhoney, Sweetwater, Green Apple Quick Step, all the bands that are still around from that era, to do a tour like that, I think would be pretty amazing.
Like, what about a festival? What about a festival?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be an amazing festival. Call it Seattle Palooza.
I caught you there. Oh, nice one. I've seen your music has been in a lot of TV shows and movies. What was your favorite thing you heard your music in?
I think the first time I heard Candlebox outside of Seattle on the radio, Las Vegas, 1993. We heard it on a radio station, and that was a big thrill for me. You know, I mean, you know, your hometown's going to support you; they're going to play you. But when you hear it in another city, and you hear the DJ talking about it and what they're thinking about the song, and that's a pretty big moment.
That Eastbound and the downswing with song, your song was pretty baller, bro. That was pretty baller.
Yeah, a friend of mine called me and said, dude, you have to watch Eastbound and Down tonight. He lives on the East Coast and I'm out here in LA. And I'm like, why? He goes, just watch it. You're going to love it. So yeah, I was pretty thrilled with that.
What's next for you?
Touring, getting out there and playing the shows.
Being safe. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, and being a father figure, and you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did my followers start following you, bro? How did they start following you, man?
Right on.
How did they start following you? How did they start?
Oh, I'm sorry. Instagram. Instagram. I am Kevin Martin on Instagram, or Candlebox on Instagram. Candlebox on Twitter. I am KM on Twitter. Candleboxrocks.com. I think all our links are from candleboxrocks.com. So that's kind of the best way to and we are the band that does answer all those. We don't have management do it. We answer every single question or email or that. So if you're emailing me, you're hearing back from me.
Well, thank you for being on my show, man. I hope the next time we talk is at the backstage at one of your shows, dude. Peace.
Right on. Nice to meet you, Jay, man.
And nice to meet you too, man. You're actually one of my grandparents' favorite band.
Cool.
Thank you, man.
I'll see ya.
See ya. Peace.
Bye.
Devils.